morning, crafty friends. How are you? I wanted to come on, do a little face-to-face thing and talk to you guys about, I don't want to call it another project I'm starting because Tatiana needs another project, like she needs a hole in her head, but talk to you about a different way that I'm documenting. There you go. Minerva is like the plastic like sniffer, and she always manages to find the smallest bit of plastic on the floor when I want to start recording. I'm gonna stop her. But if you're familiar with Sue's Fish and her concept of scrap therapy, I have decided to start a scrap therapy journal. I will link her channel in the description box of this video. She's no longer on Instagram or any social media. She's taking a bit of a social media break for, mental health reasons and stuff, but all her videos are still up on YouTube if you want to go and watch them. But Sue's idea for scrap therapy was, well, the way I interpreted it and the way I'm going to be doing it, it's a mix of art journaling, gratitude journaling, regular journaling, and scrapbooking. And so the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to be documenting smaller everyday things. I'm definitely going to be using this as a gratitude journal and as a praise book to just celebrate the smaller things in life that might not make it into other journals. It's also going to be a place for me to play with paint and play with mixed media and do some more art journaling. I love art journals. I have a bunch of mixed media notebooks, but this will be fun to just include it in here because my art journals don't really have photos, but I plan on including photos of me, of my family, of the girls, of just tiny wins every day in this. And it's just another way to stash bust. I'm all about using up my stuff this year. I had a period where I was doing a lot of buying and not a lot of making. And so I really want to just start using my stuff up. And I think this project would be a perfect way to, one, document the small things. That's my approach this year, is documenting the small things. I did so much like big scrapbooking, wedding scrapbooking, honeymoon scrapbooking, documenting nursing school. And I feel like the smaller bits and pieces of my life are starting to get lost in all those big projects. So this is going to be another way for me to document the small things. Also, just a way to use stuff up. So I made this little book. If you guys are interested in seeing how I made this, for maybe the next time when this book is full, I'll make one on camera, but it wasn't anything too laborious. And I will flip through it when I go top down because I'm going to do the intro page in this book on camera. So when I go top down, I'll flip through it so you can see it. But I used some chipboard to make a cover. I covered it with some Maggie Holmes paper. It's sitting on 2 binder rings right now. I used some ribbon and threw some eyelets to close it. And then to fill up the book with paper, I literally just went through my stash. There's like some planner pages. There's some bits and pieces from scrap cardstock. There's some vellum in here. There's some just regular 65-pound cardstock. I have a few sheets of watercolor paper that I'm going to cut down and put in here. And this is just going to be a way for me to play. So this is kind of a junk journal, but not really. So I don't like the vintage look to junk journals. I'm very much like a fan of bright whites. So if it helps you to consider this a junk journal, then maybe this is, I just chose not to use any like vintage book paper or anything else. I just shopped my stash. And the other thing that I did to get ready for this was, if you follow Retro Hit Mama, that's Minnie, sorry. If you follow Retro Hit Mama Andrea on Instagram, you will have seen these plastic bins. I know a lot of crafters are using this to organize their supplies. I just bought 6 and I realized that I probably need a few more for this project or just for projects in general, but they're $1 for each of these trays and they kind of stack and there's like a little suction so they suck into each other. And what I did was I can pull one out. So I have these plastic storage containers that I keep all my ephemera from scrapbooking collections in. I have a bunch of them that I haven't reached for in years. So what I did was I went into those big boxes, and if there was a bit of ephemera that I haven't touched in 2-3 years, I pulled them out and I broke them up. So what I have is my first basket is just hearts. I don't want to tilt it too much, but my first basket's just hearts. I also have a bunch of the Illustrated Faith fabric hearts from one of their devotionals, and I have some wood veneer hearts in here because I love texture. My second basket, just florals. You guys know that I love my flowers, so just florals. My third basket is just layering pieces because I really want to play with paper and do some distressing, some ripped edges. So these are just like, it's just a bunch of layering pieces. Some tags, some bigger pieces are in here. My fourth basket are journaling spots. So I actually bought a few of like ephemera packs that were just designed for journaling and didn't really use them. So all my journaling spots are in here. In this basket, I have a bunch of animals, whimsical pieces, just random things that didn't fit anywhere else. So that's what this basket is. And then in this one, I have like title starters. So like sometimes you get ephemera packs, like see this says laughter. And this one says books and more books. And sometimes you get ephemera packs that have these phrases that can be used for title starters. So I put them all there. I know I definitely want one for labels, and I know I want one for ephemera and bits and pieces of life. Like if I save a receipt or a piece of a coffee label or something, I definitely want a place to house those because I'm going to be doing a bit of junk journaling in here and including bits and pieces of life. And I love, like the carbon footprint of this is really small. This can easily fit in a calyx cube, and then when I'm ready to work on it, I can just pull this these trays out and leave them on my desk. And I'm just going to be using a bunch of scraps in here and building this album. So I think that's all I have to say about this. I hope I didn't forget anything. I'm going to stop talking. We're going to switch to camera down view. I'm going to make the intro page to my Scraptherapy junk journal. I don't know what I'm calling it yet. But yeah, and I'm excited to share. Oh, I will say, one thing I will say is I don't know how many process videos I'm going to be doing in this. Because this might be a daily page habit for me where I just get on, make something really quick and go. And so I don't know how much time I'll have to like set up the camera, set up the lights and do some filming. But what I will promise to do is do flip throughs periodically and show you how the book is working out. And if this does become a daily habit like I want it to, then chances are this one's going to be full by like the end of March because I think I gave myself 30 pages or a little less. So this might be full by the end of March. So you might see a few process videos and eventually you'll see a flip through of how this filled up. And if this goes the way I want it to, it's going to be chunky by the time it's done. And you guys know I like chunky pages. So again, I'm really excited to get started and to get working in this. Sue's Fish, I'll link. Also, Area Lovely, she's Tiffany Julia. She also has a Scraptherapy binder that's really inspiring. And just looking at her process and looking at Sue's videos, which is what made, like I've been thinking about this for a long time, but sometimes you just need like a kick in the pants to actually get stuff happening. So those videos have totally done that for me. So, the beauty of this project is you don't need to buy anything. If you are already a memory keeper, chances are you have everything you need in your stash if you want to do something like this. And that's the great part of doing a project like this is that we're not constantly going buy. You can use up what you already have. And I have a bunch of digital collections also. I have some printables from Illustrated Faith. I have some like Maggie Home stuff that I bought digitally. So I might just be cutting and putting things back in this basket as I go. And as these baskets get empty, just constantly shop my stash and fill these baskets back up so I don't ever run out of supplies. So I'm going to stop talking for real now and I'm going to go make something. So I'll see you in a bit. All right, crafty friends, so let's switch gears here. I'm just giving you a quick flip through of what's in my Scraptherapy junk journal, gratitude journal. I still haven't figured out what I'm calling this book yet. I think I'm just going to call it my Scraptherapy journal because that's exactly what it is. So you see I have a mix of cardstock papers. I have a mix of white cardstock, pattern paper. There's a few sheets of some like happy planner paper that I cut down. There's vellum in like yellow vellum and like normal white vellum. And now I'm showing you my basket. So you saw I had my basket of hearts, my flowers, my layering pieces, my journaling spots, titles, everything. I love these bathroom trays from Target, you guys. Like Andrea like really was onto something when she found these. And I love that they're only $1 and that you can stack them. They're so small and they hold so much. And I'm immediately going to Target to just grab a few more to add them to my stack of things. So now I'm working on my intro page. And I thought for my intro page, since it is a journal about me and about my life and celebrating my big wins and my successes in a gratitude journal, I thought it only makes sense to start with a picture of me. And I had this picture that I took of myself during the Pieces of Us self-portrait adventure. The day that the prompt was, if you follow me on Instagram, you might already know this, but the day that the prompt was full face was actually the anniversary of having my hair locked for a full year. So I have a bunch of pictures of myself, and I have that one with me smiling with actual teeth, which never happens, and I really liked it. So that's what I'm opening my journal with. And Because I'm treating this like an art journal, I decided to pull out my jelly plate and do some printing for my background. So I started with 3 distress inks. I have worn lipstick, broken china, and dusty concord. And you'll see that the blue eventually gets lost in this, but I wanted the blue to help me transition that pink to purple. I thought it would have made more sense to include that blue in there than going straight from the pink to the purple, and you see that I actually get a really smooth transition from those 2 colors. And then I put down a stencil from the new Vicky Boutin Let's Wander collection, and look at that first print, you guys. That came out so good. Now, because this is my art journal and we're getting messy, I just decided to keep going back down on that jelly plate and to keep picking up ink. And you'll see when I'm done how it comes out, but I just kept putting my paper down on different portions of the plate to kind of finish covering my my background paper, because the first print was kind of centered and there wasn't as much ink all over the page. And so you see I kind of got some ghost printing. There's pinks and purples everywhere. I love the way that came out. And now I just start matting my photo. I have this 6x6 paper pad from Michaels. So I can't really link it, but it was pinks and blues and purples, and it was kind of perfect for what I'm making here. So I just pulled out a few papers from that paper pad and started matting my photo. I am keeping this as messy as I want it to be, as loose as I want it to be, because this is for me and not for anyone else. There are, not to say that there are ever any rules for scrapbooking, but I feel like when you're making things for a project or things that are going to be shown, I tell myself that things have to be neater than they need to be, but this is my journal and I can do whatever I want in it. And so I just literally tear up a bunch of papers. I think I cut like maybe 1 edge in this entire photo mat. I grab one of these mini doodlebug doilies. I love these tiny doilies. I think I want to say they're about 3 inches. I'm not sure. Don't quote me off the top of my head, but I have them in pink, yellow, purple, teal, and white. And I really want to go and find some other colors because they're the perfect size for popping behind photos to add a tiny bit of softness. And I'm just working on building this huge photo mat. First of all, looking at that background again, it came out so... I am so excited for this. I know I'm interrupting myself, but I am so excited for this book, for this journey, to fill it up, to just take pictures of random things and include it. Before I did this voiceover, after I filmed my introduction and my intro page, I went back and I watched Suze Fish's video again, and I watched some of her flip throughs. And this journal, I think, it's going to be just what I needed for documenting the small stuff. And I said this in my intro. Sometimes I feel like the small stuff gets lost. Like, when you're documenting project life, unless you do like project life on a weekly basis, then there's room for the small stories. But also, can we talk about this basket? Like, I literally have a basket of just glassine and tissue paper and things that come in packaging with kits. So you see I have a bunch of glassine bags from Ali Edwards, from Studio Calico. I am a hoarder and I save everything. And I literally just had a basket full of glassine bags, and it's going to come in so handy for this particular project for adding texture. Like, I have a bunch of houndstooth tissue paper because all of the paper issues orders come wrapped in tissue paper. I have some dot tissue paper because the Felicity Jane orders come wrapped in tissue paper. And so I just have a basket full of that stuff. The good thing about projects like this and about art journaling and stuff like that, you can just use your stuff up and save things pretty much indefinitely and find a home for this stuff in the long run. So here I am fussing with my bottle of Picket Fence Distress Stain. I promise you I didn't disappear. I couldn't get my bottle open, and it took me forever to get it open. And this is how you know I didn't do a great job of editing this video, because I totally could have chopped that out. But eventually I get my bottle open, and I just use it to add some white splatter to the background. The Distress spray in Picket Fence is my favorite white spray for adding white splatter to the background. I don't think I'll use anything else. And I've tried a few other things. The only thing I like more than that is white ink that you can get for like fountain pens and stuff. I like that also, but the distress sprays are great. And so now I'm just working on embellishing. Now, the thing about using multiple collections is things don't always match, but they kind of go. And so I think it's going to be finding the sweet spot between things having to necessarily match and things that kind of just go together. So the collections that I broke down to put in here, there's stuff from Maggie Holmes Gather, Maggie Holmes Chasing Dreams, Maggie Holmes Flourish, Carousel, there's Paige Evans, Oh My Heart, Paige Evans, Pick Me Up. Those are the things I remember from off the top of my head. And I guess, like I said in my intro, if there was a collection that I hadn't touched in that basket for like 2 or 3 years, I pulled it out and it got broken up. There's a lot more in there that didn't get broken up, but I also didn't want to overwhelm myself with supplies this first time around. So I started with, what I had. And then like I said in my intro, as these baskets get empty, I'm going to go back into my stash and keep shopping my stash. So here I'm just building a cluster. This is what I do. This is what I do best. This is what makes me happy. I'm just grabbing flowers that kind of match. So I pulled out some stuff that was pink. I had a few flowers that were in like a purpley indigo tone. So I pulled some of those out. And I'm just creating this huge cluster right above my face. In the picture, I'm leaning towards on camera, it looks like I'm leaning towards the right. And so I have all that space on the left side of the photo to make a huge photo cluster. And now I just keep adding and adding and adding layers. I just wanted to add a bunch of texture. So I had a bunch of those picture frames. I know one is from Maggie Holmes Carousel, and I know the other one is from Paige Evans. I don't remember which Paige Evans line that is, but I know one's Paige Evans. And I am mixing lines, just putting things where they make me happy, building this huge photo cluster that's going to go behind my picture and onto my page. I am trying to stick to pinks and purples because that's what my background is. And so I'm just literally rifling through these things and rifling through my baskets, and if something matches, pulling it out and sticking it down. Not second guessing things, not thinking too much. I'm just making for the sake of making, and because making makes me happy. So now I'm looking for something that I could kind of use like a title, because I didn't want to use stickers or anything else. So I eventually find this piece from a Paige Evans line that says "You are beautiful," and it has flowers that match the flowers that are already in my on my page. I have some of those illustrated Faith fabric hearts. I love those fabric hearts. I need Shauna to release them in every color palette in the world so I can have them on every layout. And if I have backups to my backups, chances are I won't hoard them. Which defeats the purpose of this project, right? The purpose of this project is to help me use things up. But there are just specific embellishments that I'm a sucker for and I don't want to use. I just want to keep them forever. So here I do a little bit more of an art journaling type technique, and I pull out the Posca paint pens. This is a Posca paint pen, a 0.3 nib in light pink, and I just start scribbling right on my layout. So they're a paint pen, so there's acrylic paint in the pen, and you can write on everything. So I use it to write directly on, and what I wrote on my background is "No one is you, and that is your superpower." And I wrote that over and over on the page, and you can kind of see it in the close-ups. It's not something that's super obvious. It does definitely blend into the background, but it was more important to me to get the words on the page than it was to actually see them. And the good thing about the stencil that I use is it mimics handwriting. It doesn't say anything, it just mimics the look of handwriting. So the Posca paint pen blends into it perfectly. And that is pretty much it for the layout. Off camera, I do go in and add a few puffy stickers. I'm lying. I remembered that I wanted to add journaling, so I glue a glassine bag right behind my photo. It's a convenient journaling spot, and I use one of those journaling tags to add some journaling. And then I'm saying, off camera, I go ahead and add a few puffy stickers to the page just to add a bit more texture. And that pretty much completes this first entry in my Scraptherapy book. I love how this came out. I love having that big photo of myself. I love that I'm smiling in the picture, and I cannot wait to keep adding to this. So you guys, if you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you're so inclined. I cannot wait to show you how this book fills up and what I add to it in the long run. And I hope that if you were on the fence about a project like this or about an art journal like this, that this video gives you inspiration to do one of your own. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Until next time, keep it crafty and have the very best day, and I will see you around. Bye!